Hello everyone, welcome to the Dr. Chess channel and welcome to this video. In this video we're going to cover about 9 checkmate scenarios, and you need to recognize them coming and going. If they're coming at you, you need to recognize the pattern. If you see the pattern in your opponent and you can work it out, you need to recognize it so you can deliver checkmate to your opponent. And you want to stay to the very end, because the very last game that I show is a game where checkmate came my way and I didn't see it. See if you can spot it before I do. Let's get right to it. Here is a checkmate scenario that if you have your bishop here and your rook here, there just isn't a lot of place for the king to go. So when you go here, that is checkmate. But you need to be able to see what it looks like when it's coming your way. So if you are like this and you're thinking, well, I'm not sure exactly what I need to do, and it's not your move anyway, you should have paid attention, because now you're checkmated. So it's really good to have an idea of what checkmate looks like coming at you or that you're delivering. So here's another scenario, and this is a one-move checkmate. Maybe you set it up. It's a boxed-in checkmate. You get to box in your opponent, and if you want to take a minute and see where you would have to move to checkmate your opponent, what move you could make that would checkmate the opponent. So give that a minute. You could pause and come back to it. But you might think, well, if I go here, then I have the king. Then I have the king in check, and he can't go here, here, here because of the rook. He can't go here, here, or here because of the king. But he does have a way of escape, so that doesn't work so well. Instead, the rook can come right here, and that is checkmate. The knight is covering that square and this square, and the rook is, of course, covering these squares, and then the king is, of course, covering that square, and so the king has no escape. Now, he had to have a piece here to keep him from being able to move that direction, or it wouldn't have worked out exactly the way. Okay, now here is a scenario where the king can run away, and so depending on how the king runs, it's what you have to do when you see this scenario. So the idea is to look at these scenarios and recognize it when it's there. You want to recognize it when it's whether you are on the receiving end or whether you are on the driving end. So let's go here. So you put your rook here, and the king goes here, and you put your rook here, and if the king goes here, your knight goes there, and it is checkmate. Your game over, and you just checkmated your opponent. But what if it was different, and instead you had the king here, and you went here, and he ran the other way? So if he runs this way, you go ahead, and he has to go check here. He only has one move. He goes here. So then you go here, and you put him in check, and he goes here, and when you go here, that is checkmate, because the knight is covering this square, and the rook is covering that square, etc. So that is a way to do checkmate. It's just another thing to recognize. And then if you have this scenario, so ideally, if you just had your knight here, it would be checkmate, but you don't. I got rid of my my knight. Okay, it wouldn't work that way, because you have this knight would come up and take it, so that it just doesn't work. So what you can do in a case like this is realize that you know what your options are. And it would be what's called a Greek sacrifice. If you take that knight with your queen, this queen really has no other option. This king can't move. The only option is to, I keep messing that up. The only option is for the queen to take your queen. And at that moment, you go here, and you think you're going to fork the king and the queen, but instead, it is checkmate, because all the squares are taken up, plus the square the king is on. So let's look at another scenario. This is a scenario where we're going to focus on this pawn. These are the weak pawns. Actually, all 4 of these are weak pawns when you're at this point, because they're generally protected by a knight, or maybe they're not protected. And so if you had a scenario where you could take this pawn and the king would respond. You could go check, and depending on where the king went, if he went here, you go here, and then it is just going to be checkmate. So that's one way to look at it. Ideally, if you see that coming your way and you realize what's going on, you would say, "Good grief! I need to do something. This is headed toward me," and I think I get rid of the queen. There we go. So let's look at it again. So it's headed toward me, so it looks like it's going to be checkmate. So ideally, you would realize that and take steps to get rid of it. So you'd move a pawn up and would take care of it, or you would put your knight up to take care of it. You would do something to take care of that. But even so, it's a challenge. It's difficult to deal with that. But also, if you so let's go to another scenario. This one is very similar. You could create a battery of your queen and your bishop against this pawn, and that would be the similar scenario. Even if they move this up, you'd be able to checkmate. The only thing that they could do would be to move this here, and then that would be give you some other things to do as well. Go here or whatever. And so there's more that you can do, because if this is out of the way and let's just move this up and this like this, and it wasn't like that. If you have your queen here, then this is a scenario with these three pawns that is set up for the king's Indian. You're going to see that set up a lot. So if you get your queen and your bishop here, well, there's just nothing they can do. It's going to be checkmate. So that is a good one to keep in mind. Look at that, what that's going to look like. So here is a checkmate. When your king is on the back rank, or your opponent's king is on the back rank, realize that all you have to do is put a rook here or a queen, and it's going to be checkmate. So in this case, you can't do that, because if you go here, the queen will take, and you're done. It didn't really accomplish anything at all. So in this case, you take the rook, and if they're not paying attention, certainly a beginner player, 800,000, whatever, they're going to take the queen, and at that point you go here, and it is checkmate. So that's an amazing thing, and it's good to keep that in mind. And so it's good to have to realize what it looks like the other way as well. So if you have your scenario, so let's set it up where, there we go. So you're looking at it, and if you see this coming your way, and say that the queen goes there, well, your queen has to do something. So either way, it's not going to be good news for you. You have no way to protect your queen. If you take the queen, it's over. So just keep in mind and try to look at it before it gets there, and do some preparation, because when the queen takes, then you take, and it is indeed a back rank checkmate. So this is a scenario that is pretty good. You would like to be able to go the queen here to checkmate the king, but the king has an escape route. You can just run away or whatever, and get out of there. Okay, here's the scenario for this checkmate. And you put him here. He can't go there. He has to go here. You go here, which he goes back here again. And at that point, you put your queen on h2, and it is checkmate, because this square is the only place he can go, and it's all where nothing the king can do. It is indeed checkmate. So another scenario is thinking of these pawns as being, weak, and you want to be able to attack those pawns. And so if you go here, so I'm going to, so if I had my queen here, then I obviously a beginner player or a player you're against might not notice. I mean, I didn't notice a couple times that pawn is under attack, and all you'd have to do is move there, and it is checkmate. And if you didn't realize that, so another one would be if you had your queen here, and you put your bishop there. The pawn can't take the bishop, because this is pinned by the queen. So the pawn can go up, but then loses a rook, and so you're totally winning. And again, this is the King's Indian type setup. But if you had your queen where you could let's put the queen over here, and well, you could still take this. So let's just move that here. And so in this case, there we go. So if you had your queen here, well, that would be, let's put that there. Good grief. I'm going to put the queen there, and I want it to be, it can't take me. Okay, great. Okay, super. So I have the queen here. Again, this is the same kind of setup where you have the ability to go here and put the king in checkmate. All right, now I have a demo game that I played just to show some checkmate scenarios and how they come up. D4, and let's go from, I remember it was from white, or let's go from white. So it's this is the Stonewall attack setup, which I'm learning, and I really, I don't get anything for this, but I just let you know that Chess Vibes has a class that I'm taking that I'm learning a ton of stuff from, and I know it's just amazing how awesome it is. And this is one of the openings that he teaches. So you put the bishop up to d3, and the idea is you'll be able to get your knight out. And I will tell you this, when you're doing the Stonewall, if the queen can come here and check your king, you want to be careful how you do the Stonewall. You might have to abandon the Stonewall and do some other kind of opening if there's a line for the queen to come and put your king in check before you move that pawn up. So just keep that in mind. So this is the outpost that you want to take with your knight in the Stonewall. Of course, here we have a big attack on the knight with the outpost. And then once you get this, they castle, and then you go here and you have a battery set up right there. So obviously this knight can take it, so it's not really a good, wonderful battery, but it's there for you. So then you can get rid of this knight, and so what you do is you get your bishop. You did have to wiggle it out a little bit, yeah, but it's not horrible to do that, depending on what your opponent is doing. And then you can do the uplift. One of the beautiful things about the Stonewall is uplifting your rook, so you can go here and then cause trouble all over here. So that is one of the awesome things about the Stonewall attack setup. And so, yes, I know I could take that. I don't think I do in this demo game. So I go here, and then the queen moves back because it's a demo game. And so then the pawn takes, and then the bishop takes, and the king moves over. And so the bishop moves and puts the king, in a safer spot. You move your queen over, and you probably wouldn't have time to do this, but for the demo game you do, and the queen was here. Obviously, they would take your knight, but it wouldn't really affect anything because then your next move would be here, and it is checkmate. So that's a checkmate scenario. Maybe not real realistic. Now this one here is a checkmate scenario that actually happened, and I played this game, and I got shocked with a checkmate. I was playing the Maria bot. Can you see that? Yeah, I was playing the Maria bot, and in this particular one, I'm at 999. I think I moved a little past that, but not much. So in this game, I do d4. I'm going to do the Stonewall attack. I'm really practicing that. And so there's a free pawn. I didn't take it. I didn't see it. Always keep an eye on what you can take for free. And so I castle, and the bot moves the rook up to a7, and then this moves h6. So then the after effect is I really should have gone here. I didn't do that. I went ahead and just stayed where I was, and the engine is giving me what would have been a better move, but instead these are the moves that I actually made. And I wanted to go here. Now I did go here to try to break up this pawn structure. I don't really want that to exist so well. So I went ahead and went here and defeated the pawn structure a little bit, And then I got my bishop out, and I went here. I was so happy that I had forked the king and the rook. To fork the king and the rook to me is a great thing. I'm going to get a free rook, and so I did that, and the king moved away. I got the rook, and then we exchanged pawns, and I went here, and I was thinking about going here or there. I wasn't sure what to do, but I wasn't really paying attention that the queen had a view to my pawn. I wasn't seeing that. If I had taken my bishop up here, it would have chased away the queen, or put here, whatever. Something would have happened that I could have escaped or whatever. But instead, the knight went here, and I was thinking, I've got my knights here protecting each other. What can I do with that? I was thinking about, I wasn't sure what to do. I thought if I went here, well, he'd just take, and I would take, and the queen would take, and I wasn't sure how good of a scenario that was. I just wasn't thinking, because the very next move, I went there. I was going to threaten this knight. I thought, well, I want to get that knight out of the way. But this queen was so far away, I didn't realize what was going to happen. And it was checkmate, game over. And that's what happens if you're not paying attention and not looking at your weak pawns. Keep an eye on that.